Okay, so chapter 3. Okay, this is the first time that we're going to start solving equations. So at this point, your arithmetic skills with adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, those got to be good to go. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is one property that you can use to solve an equation. And it's called the addition property of equality. What the addition property of equality says, okay, very simply, is if you're solving your equation, you are allowed to add the same number to both sides of the equation. And it doesn't affect the answer. Okay? If you do something that affects the answer, you've ruined the original equation. This doesn't. You are allowed to add the same number to both sides of an equation. Here's an example. X equals 6. Okay? I'm telling you that x equals 6. This would be like the last step when you finish solving an equation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 to both sides of this equation. Now it says x plus 3, and 6 plus 3 gives me 9. What's the answer to this equation on the bottom? What plus 3 is 9? 6. It's the same equation I had up above it. These two equations are exactly the same thing. They're called equivalent equations. All we did was add the same number to both sides. So if I was making a question on a test and I wanted the answer to be 6, that's how I'd do it. I'd start with x equals 6, and then I'd add something to both sides, and then you'd have to solve it. In general, when you solve an equation, we're going to try to make it simpler. Okay, and I'm going to show you how you can solve it. But our book mentions what's called equivalent equations, and that's what they are. Okay, here's one other example. If I tell you y equals 8, what if you add 5 on the left side? What would you get? But Sam, if you add 5 on the left-hand side. Think about it. It's a letter and a number. Can you combine them? Nope. Letters can't be combined with just numbers. So if you add 5 to the left-hand side, you'd just have y plus 5. Right? What if you add 5 on the right-hand side? Katie? What if you add 5 on the right-hand side? Which is?
I don't know.
Think about it. 8 plus 5? 13. These are called equivalent equations. 8 plus 5 is 13. Equations that have the same answer are equivalent. Equivalent equations. So what you're going to see in this section is a new word for solving problems. Okay, you're going to see the word solve. Okay, this is important. Solve. To solve an equation, what that means is they want to know the answer to it. They want to know what is the value of the variable. When you're solving an equation, the goal is to get the letter by itself on one side, just like I had here. This would be a good final answer to a problem. X equals 6.
Guys, don't worry so much about writing this down, because we're going to go over it step by step in a second. I'm just going to give you guys a broad idea of what equations are all about. So we'll get into it step by step.
Okay, so when you're solving an equation, you're going to get the variable by itself on one side. The variable could be an x, could be a y, could be any letter. Okay, any letter. The goal is to get it by itself, and we're usually going to choose to get the letter on the left side. That's how we're going to do it. Okay, once you solve an equation, the nice thing about solving it is you can then check your answer to see if it's right. You can check it. So like on the test, if you get an answer, you want to check it before I check it to see if you made a mistake. Right? And we'll show you how you check it. Okay, Mr. Roy is going to go through some steps in a minute. But in general, the way you check your answer is you take what you think is right, you plug it back in. Okay, we've done this a lot. Plug a number in and see if you end up with something that's true.
What does that mean what does that mean if it's true? Equal. Exactly, you should have the same number on both sides of the equal sign, like 3 equals 3, -2 equals -2. If it's the same on each side of the equal sign, you're good, you did it right.
Okay, let's say I gave you this as a problem on the test. And we're going to explain the steps to solve it, but let's say you got this as your answer. The way you check to see if this answer is right, you take what you think your answer is, you plug it back in right there, and you get 2 plus 6, and the question is, does 2 plus 6 equal 8?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So that means 6 is the correct answer to this problem. Let's say you thought 5 was the answer. If you plug 5 in, you'd have 2 plus 5 equals 8. What's 2 plus 5?
7.
Does 7 equal 8? Is that true? No, 7 doesn't equal 8. That's not true. Okay? So if you get a statement that's not true, your answer is wrong. And then you got to go back and try it again. Okay, so Mr. Roy is going to go through some steps for solving the kind of equations we're going to do today, which are one-step equations.
Guys, this sheet that I'm giving you, this week's going to be all about solving equations. All right? So this sheet that I give you, so the sheet that I give you right now, put your name on it. This right here, this one sheet, is pretty much your notes for the week. Mr. Hager and I, like, tomorrow's going to be similar as today. Mr. Hager's going to go over the, big idea of what we're doing, and then we're going to kind of specify it. Okay? So first things first, guys, put your name on this. Again, it should be just like your reference sheet. Have it with you. Once we get your binders together on Thursday, we'll have you guys put this right at the front, because solving equations are going to come up all year long. So rather than have to go back in your notes and try to find what you need, you'll have this right in your binder. You can unclick your binder, take it out, and refer to it, rather than have to go back and forth in your notes. That's why we're doing it. So, guys, we're dealing with that first box, all right? One-step equations, adding or subtracting. All right, and I put 3.1 because it's chapter 3, section 1. It's the first thing we're going to do. So we got one step, adding or subtracting equations. So here's our example. So, in that box, all right, in that first little box where it says EX, for example, I want you to write X minus 5. There's two boxes there because in the first box, we're going to do one that deals with subtraction, then we'll do one that deals with addition. All right? So we'll give you two different examples. This is going to kind of be like your menu, guys. Like, okay, what kind of a problem is that? Okay, it's just like that. There's the steps I have to use. All right? So in that first little EX box, you should have X minus 5 equals 9. Yeah, perfect. Right there, X minus 5 equals 9. Right in that first example box where it says EX, you want to write right in that box. It's like the two lines, you want to write it right inside those two lines. If you didn't, that's okay. Alright, so our first example is, yo.
Can I just have another one?
I shouldn't, yes. We have next ones?
Wait, inside the...
Yeah, right inside the...
Where it says number 1.
Right where it says EX. EX stands for example. X minus 5 equals 9. Just like this. If you didn't do it this way, that's okay. Again, guys, I think maybe tomorrow I'll actually have this up on the smart board so you can see it. Right inside that box, like I said. If you didn't, that's okay, because you already have the what it is, adding and subtracting, right? One step equation. You already have that. Like I said, if you wrote it on number 1, that's okay. Don't panic. Right? There's only 2 steps here. All right, so we get x minus 5 equals 9. So right next to that 1, we're going to write identify the variable. All right, or like Mr. Hager said, the letter that is by itself on one side of the equal sign. All right, you want to find the variable, the letter that's by itself. You want to identify that. Okay, this is only for step 1. You want to leave yourself a little bit of space so we can fit the rest of that example. I know it's a little tight, but it'll be okay.
I didn't ask you. Ask anyone, actually.
Everybody's got that? Okay, good. So, guys, in this equation, right? Sam, in this equation, what's my variable? X, right? Just X. So, you're going to write right below this, not for step 2 yet, but right below where you wrote, right, you get x minus 5 equals 9. All right? Your variable, you want to rewrite it and circle the x. Because x is your variable. You've identified it. We know x is our variable. All right, so you're going to rewrite the example right below that. Circle x so we know. Next, longer step. You're going to move the number, just the number that is on the same side of the equal sign as the variable. All right? I'm going to change this a little bit, guys. All right? So if it's a subtraction equation, you want to do the opposite operation, which this is a negative 5. Remember, the sign to the left always goes with it. All right, it's a negative 5, the sign to the left always goes with it. So in order to move something, when you're doing equations, you want to do the opposite equation. Excuse me, the opposite operation, I'm sorry. Do the opposite operation. So in this case, it would be adding. So can I move this? Oh, it's 2 pages, right? I'm doing that. So we had x minus 5 equals 9. I'm missing stuff, I think. Actually, no, I didn't. It's okay. All right, so for this one, we'll solve it together. All right, so we want to add, right? We want to add on both sides of the equal sign, right? Joey, what am I going to add?
X and 5.
Oh, x, this x, I want to leave alone. That's what I want to get by itself. I want to solve for that. All right?
But you're going to find out what equals that.
I want to find out what x exactly. X is going to equal something. All right? And again, we said that we want to move the number that is on the same side of the equal sign. So it's that negative 5, right? And I want to do the opposite operation. So it's a negative 5. What do I have to do?
9 plus 5.
All right, so I'm going to add 5 on both sides, right? Because I want to keep that equation balanced. I'm going to add 5 here. I'm going to add 5 on the other side of the equal sign. On this side, somebody raising their hand, somebody tell me. On this side right here, there's negative 5 and this 5. What happens, Kayla? This cancels out. That's why I did it, because I want to get x by itself. All right? That cancels. What happens to this x? Kayla?
Drops down.
Let's bring it down, right? I'm just going to draw an arrow so you guys can see. X equals, go ahead, Kayla, you can finish it off. 14. All right? All I'm doing to both sides is just, again, doing the opposite operation. If it's negative, add it to both sides. You want to keep that equation balanced. Whenever we're doing equations, whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do on the other side. It's the only way it works. You have to balance it. Now, like Mr. Hager said, and guys, if you want to write this down, that's fine. If you don't want to, you don't have to. If I wanted to check it, I'm just going to put a little check. What would I do? What would I do if I wanted to check for that? So here's my final answer. I want to circle it. Kayla, I know you know. Thank you, though. You're a rock star. Sam, you want to answer? Plug the 14 in for what? For the x, right? Take this guy right here, all right? Plug it in. So my new equation, Sam, would be what? When I write it out to check it, how would I write it out? 14, yeah? Minus 5 equals what? 9. Is 14 minus 5 9?
Yep.
Does 9 equal 9? I'm good. It worked, right? The biggest thing, whatever you do on one side, you want to do to the other side. So now, on the bottom there, the bottom part, mistake, you got, never mind, I got it. There we go. Okay. If you get something like this is going to go in that reminder box on the bottom. If the problem is written, all right, that's a 5. I know it might look like an S. You'll get used to it during the year, I promise. I know my handwriting is not the best. All right, 5 equals 8 plus A. That's an A also. I know it kind of looks like a sideways 9, but it's an A. 5 equals, I don't know. It was Friday afternoon when I wrote it. I was tired. Sorry, Isaiah. Next time I'll let you write it. Okay. So I got 5 equals 8 plus A. I want to rewrite that. If you can solve it like this, that's fine. But most of us, like, we freak out. Like, we see like that equal sign, like, first it's like, holy Lord, I can't solve it, I can't do it. Math sucks, I can't handle this. It'll be okay. Take a deep breath. Math can be your friend sometimes. It's not here to hurt you or cause you pain. So, all we're going to do is rewrite it with the equal sign and the number. Again, I just put that number signal. It's not a hashtag for some of you people out there. I love Twitter. Rewrite with the equal sign and the number at the end. So all I'm taking is that 5 and equal sign, I'm moving it to the end. 8 plus A equals 5. I just rearranged the order. I didn't have to do any math. I just rewrote it so it looks like any other equation we've seen before. Simple, simple, simple. All right?
Yeah, I just rearranged it. That's all he did. All he did was switch what was on the left and the right. The 5 went to the right, and the A plus A ends up on the other side. We just switched what was on the left and right side of that equal sign. And that's fine to do. Most people like it when the variable's on the left.
All right? People have this? All right, I'm going to go back up. Now, in that EX box on the other side, right? We just did this one in the first example box. Now we're going to do this one. So if we did one with subtraction for our first example, what do you think we're going to do this time? One with addition, right? So we're going to do x plus 7 equals 5. All right? So first, for step 1 on that in that column, you didn't let me get to that, did you?
No.
All right, let me get to it first. For this one, right? For step 1, all right, on that side, for step 1, you're just going to put same as, you can put same as the other side. It's the same thing. Nothing changes. Same as the other side. So for part 1, for step 1, for the other one, same as the other side. It's the same thing. We're going to identify that variable first. So let me erase this. And we got x plus 7 equals 5. Wyatt, in this example right here, buddy, what's my variable? X is my variable, right? There it is. What kind of an X is that, Y? Positive or negative? It's a positive X, right? There's not, again, if we look to the left, right? If there's no sign there, it's what? What kind of a number? Positive all day long, right? It's a positive all day long. Same rules for step 2, all right? Move the number that is on the same side of the equal sign as the variable. But instead of by adding, we're going to do what? What's the opposite operation in this case? Subtraction. So, we got x plus 7 equals 5. Austin, how am I going to do this? Huh? What's that? All right, we want to find the number that's on the same side of the equal sign as the variable, right? What's that number that's on the same side of the equal sign as the variable? Here's my variable, right? Y had already told me my variable was x, right? What's the number that's on the same side? What kind of 7? Sign to the left goes with it, right? So what kind of a 7? Positive 7, right? So, to move that, Austin, or to get rid of it, what do I have to do? Well, yeah, what's it? This one would be what? Minus 7, right? Minus 7 here. Where else do I minus 7, Austin? From the 5 too, right? What happens here, guys? Cancels out, right? Like Kayla said for the last one, bring that x down. X is nothing else I can combine it with. Equals now, in this situation, Katie, when I do this one, when I do 5 minus 7, what's my answer going to be? Positive or negative? Negative. Why? 7's bigger than 5, right? And then I just do 7 minus 5, which is? All right, wait, I'm going to sign there. 2. There's my answer. Elijah, to check it, and don't tell me you don't know, because I know you do. To check it, what do I have to do? Exactly, just substitute, right? So negative 7, tell me the rest. Negative 2.
Plus 7.
Yeah. Perfect. What do you get here?
-2 plus 7.
Is your answer going to be positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Tell me why.
Because the
7's bigger than the 2. So 7 minus 2 is what, Elijah?
Wait, what do you say?
7 minus 2 is what?
10 minus 2 is
5
5.
equals 5. We're good. That guys, the reminder on the bottom there, it works for both. All right, again, don't get freaked out. Let's switch the order. It's the same. That's the same thing. It's for both. And any kind of equation that we get, if the equal sign and number come at the beginning, just move it to the end. It involves no math. Don't freak out. Okay?
All right, we're going to have you guys try maybe 1 or 2 more of each type. Let's look at this one. X minus 12 equals 9. What's the variable on the left side? X.
Guys, do this one on a scrap piece of paper. Do it in your notes, whatever.
Now you have a minus 12. How are you going to move minus 12 to the other side? Isaiah? Add what?
12.
Add 12. What happens when you do negative 12 plus 12? What's negative 12 plus 12?
0.
0. Cancels out. Okay. What's the only thing that's on the left-hand side now?
X.
Just x. And what's 9 plus 12? 21.
It's just a game.
Yeah.
Against somebody else.
How do we check and see if we got the answer right? How do we check it?
Plug in 21 of the outpost.
Plug in 21 for X and see if we get a true statement. 21 minus 12 equals 9. Okay? That's the question. Is that true? What's 21 take away 12? Okay, think it through. 21 take away 12. Yeah, go ahead, Austin. Yeah. Does 9 equal 9? Yeah. So that's true. So X equals 21. That's the correct answer. Okay. Any questions on the ones where you have to add to both sides? Okay. Okay. The other type Mr. Roy already went over is subtraction. We're allowed to subtract the same number from both sides. You guys already did it in one example. We're going to try it in one more. Let's try this one.
Ooh.
Okay.
Mr. Hager getting fancy on it.
So we have negative 17 equals y plus 5. Mr. Roy gave you a hint at what you should do first here before you even start doing arithmetic. What can we do first? Switch, yeah. Switch what's on the left and the right. What's going to be on the left side? What's going to be on the right? Negative 17. There's no arithmetic there. It just puts the variable on the left, and most people are used to seeing that. So we do it that way.
Victoria, what's Mr. Hager gonna do now? Look at you. Don't say I don't know. Look at your steps. Don't freak out on me. You can do it. Huh? So we're doing one with a plus sign, right? Okay. So the first step on your reference sheet.
-5
There you go.
Where do I do it?
under the 5.
Under the 5 and
And then you cross it out, then you put it up with 17.
yep.
And then
And she said cross it out. Yep, keep going.
you break down the 5.
Now for Victoria, for that one, right? You got a negative and a negative. You're combining them. Your answer's gonna be what? Don't get tricked. We're not multiplying. We're dividing. Huh? Is your answer gonna be negative or positive? We're not multiplying, right? It's the same sign, keep the sign, add them together, right? What are you gonna get? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, right? Negative or positive? Guys, don't put your stuff away because you're gonna need your agendas out to write the rest of your homework down. Don't worry. Oh yeah, man, we're laying it on there thick tonight. It's Monday.
Okay?
We're laying it on thick tonight. A lot of homework. 100 questions.
Monday.
Huh?
Today is Monday.
So I'm saying we're laying it on thick.
Okay, so you get negative 22. Okay? So you guys have a couple examples with addition, you had a couple with subtraction, and that's what your homework is going to
Guys,
be.
leave your agendas out so you can write this down.
Did you write that in my agenda?
Not this part. I only wrote the first part.
Okay, the homework tonight on page 92. In addition to what I just gave you is 2 to 18, 22 to 30. It's all evens. Okay? There are some word problems in there, so make sure you remember words like decreased. That means subtract. Or added to means addition. Okay, so you have those words in your notes if you need them.